Let's go on with the divorce, and in case you don't know, this is our child that I kept away from you.
What? And so what?
Just sign the divorce paper and let her leave.
The baby wouldn't stop crying. Jaya stood in the marble lobby of Korea's most exclusive family law firm, holding her 3-week-old daughter against her chest, trying to muffle the sound with her shoulder. The receptionist stared. The security guard shifted his weight. Every eye in the room tracked her like she'd brought a bomb instead of a baby. She had 20 minutes before the divorce was finalized. 20 minutes before she signed away 5 years of marriage to a man who'd never once held their child. The envelope in her bag felt heavier than it should. Inside were documents she wasn't supposed to have. Bank transfers, property deeds. A second family her husband had been funding for 3 years while she'd been trying to conceive. Jaya adjusted the baby's blanket and walked toward the elevators. Her hands were shaking, not from fear, from exhaustion. She'd slept 4 hours in 3 days. Her body still ached from the emergency C-section. The stitches pulled every time she moved. But she was here, and she was going to watch him lie under oath. The elevator doors opened on the 14th floor. Glass walls, black leather, a hallway so quiet she could hear her own heartbeat. Room 1407, the divorce mediation suite. She pushed the door open. Her husband sat at the far end of a long conference table, flanked by 2 attorneys in tailored suits. He didn't look up when she entered, didn't acknowledge the baby, didn't acknowledge her. Across from him sat a man she didn't recognize. He was younger than she expected. Mid-30s, maybe, sharp jawline, black hair swept back, charcoal suit that looked like it cost more than her car. He wasn't looking at the documents in front of him. He was looking at her. No, he was looking at the baby. Jaya's breath caught. There was something wrong about the way he watched, not curious, not sympathetic, calculating. Her husband's lead attorney cleared his throat. "Mrs. Kang, you're late." "I'm 10 minutes early," Jaya said quietly. "Your attorney isn't here." "I know." She'd fired him 2 days ago when she realized he'd been paid by her husband's family to pressure her into a silent settlement. No alimony, no custody claim, just a one-time payment and a non-disclosure agreement that would bury everything she knew. Her husband finally looked up. His face was blank. "Jaya, let's not drag this out." "I'm not the one dragging anything out, Minjun." His jaw tightened. He hated when she used his name like that, like he was a stranger. The baby whimpered. Jaya rocked her gently, eyes still locked on her husband. The man in the charcoal suit leaned back in his chair. He hadn't introduced himself, hadn't said a word, but the air around him felt heavy, like the moment before a storm. Minjun's attorney slid a folder across the table. "We're prepared to offer a revised settlement. 1.2 million won. Full custody to Mr. Kang. Supervised visitation twice a month." Jaya didn't touch the folder. "She's 3 weeks old," she said, "and you want me to hand her over to a man who hasn't even asked her name?" Silence. Minjun's attorney smiled thinly. "Mr. Kang has been under significant stress." "He has another child." Jaya's voice didn't waver. "A son, 2 years old, living in a penthouse in Gangnam with a woman he's been supporting since before we were married." The room went still. Minjun's face turned white. His attorney's smile vanished. Jaya reached into her bag and pulled out the envelope. She set it on the table. Bank transfers, lease agreements, school enrollment forms, all under his name. "You," Minjun stood, chair scraping against the floor. "You went through my accounts." "I'm your wife. I had access." "That's illegal." "No." The voice came from the man in the charcoal suit. It was low, calm, absolute. "It's not." Minjun froze. The man didn't move, didn't raise his voice. He just looked at Minjun the way someone might look at an insect they were deciding whether to crush. "She had legal access to joint accounts," the man continued. "Marital assets are discoverable, you know this." Minjun's attorney shifted uncomfortably. "Mr. Yoon, with respect, this is a private mediation." "Then keep it private." Mr. Yoon's gaze slid to Jaya. "Or don't." Jaya's pulse spiked. She didn't know who this man was, didn't know why he was here. But the way Min Jun's entire legal team had gone rigid told her everything she needed to know. He was dangerous. Mr. Yoon stood. He moved slowly, deliberately, like a predator that didn't need to rush. He walked around the table and stopped beside Jaya. The baby had gone quiet. He glanced down at her, then back at Min Jun. "You're asking for full custody of a child you've never held." "That's not." "You didn't visit the hospital, didn't call, didn't send flowers." Mr. Yoon's tone didn't change. "You were in Gangnam with your son." Min Jun's face crumpled. Jaya's chest tightened. She didn't understand what was happening, why this stranger knew so much, why he was defending her. Mr. Yoon turned to her. His eyes were dark, unreadable. "Do you want this divorce?" Jaya swallowed. "Yes." "Do you want custody?" "Yes." "Then sit down." She sat. Mr. Yoon looked at Min Jun's attorney. "Redraft the settlement. Full custody to Mrs. Kang. 80% of marital assets. Child support indexed to inflation. And a non-disclosure agreement that protects her asterisk, not him." The attorney stammered. "We can't." "You can." Mr. Yoon's voice dropped. "Or I make a call. And by tomorrow morning, every board member at Min Jun's company knows he's been embezzling joint assets to fund a second family." Min Jun's hands were shaking now. Jaya stared at Mr. Yoon. Her heart was hammering. She wanted to ask who he was, why he was helping, what he wanted. But he was already walking toward the door. He paused, glanced back. "You'll hear from me." Then he was gone. And Jaya was left holding her daughter in a room full of men who suddenly looked very, very afraid. Jaya didn't sleep that night. She sat in the narrow kitchen of her studio apartment, rocking the baby in her arms, replaying every second of the mediation. The way Mr. Yoon had moved, the way he'd spoken, like he'd already decided the outcome before anyone else had walked into the room. Min Jun had signed the revised settlement in under an hour. No argument, no fight. He just picked up the pen with shaking hands and signed his name across 8 different documents while his attorneys sat in silence. Jaya had walked out with full custody, majority assets, and a legally binding gag order that would destroy Min Jun if he ever spoke about her or the baby publicly. She should have felt victorious. Instead, she felt watched. The baby stirred against her chest. Jaya kissed her daughter's forehead and stood, moving to the window. The street below was empty. Rain streaked the glass. Streetlights flickered in the dark. She told herself she was being paranoid. But she couldn't stop thinking about the way Mr. Yoon had looked at her. Not with pity, not with attraction, with assessment, like she was a variable in an equation he was solving. Her phone buzzed on the counter. Unknown number. Jaya hesitated, then answered. "Hello." Silence. Then a voice, low, familiar. "Mrs. Kang." Her breath stopped. "Mr. Yoon." "You're awake." It wasn't a question. Jaya's eyes flicked to the window. The street was still empty, but the certainty in his voice made her skin prickle. "How did you get this number?" "I get every number I need." He paused. "You're wondering why I helped you." "Yes." "Your husband owes people money, a lot of it. He's been using company funds to cover personal expenses, gambling debts, the second family, luxury cars he can't afford." Jaya's stomach dropped. "I didn't know." "I know you didn't." His tone didn't soften. "But now you're tied to him legally, and the people he owes don't care about divorce paperwork." "What people?" "The kind who don't ask twice." Jaya's hands tightened around the phone. The baby shifted in her arms, still sleeping. "What do you want from me?" "Nothing." Silence, then, "Yet." The line went dead. Jaya stood frozen, staring at her phone. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She wanted to call him back, demand answers, but she didn't even have his number. She looked down at her daughter, 3 weeks old, too small, too fragile. Jaya had thought signing the divorce papers would be the end of it. She was starting to realize it was only the beginning. 3 days later, Jaya received a package. No return address, just a plain black box left outside her apartment door. She carried it inside carefully, one hand balancing the baby against her shoulder. Inside was a phone, new, expensive, and a single card with handwritten text. Use this, keep the other one off. No signature. Jaya stared at the phone. Every instinct screamed at her to throw it away, but she didn't. She powered it on. One contact, no name, just a number. Before she could decide what to do, it rang. She answered. There are 3 men in a silver Hyundai parked 2 blocks from your building. Mr. Yoon's voice was calm, matter of fact. They've been there since 6 this morning. Jaya's blood turned cold. She moved to the window, careful to stay behind the curtain. She couldn't see the street clearly from her angle, but she didn't need to. Who are they? Debt collectors, looking for Min-jun. He gave them your address. Her stomach twisted. He what? He's desperate. He thinks if they pressure you, you'll use the settlement money to cover his debts. That money is for my daughter. I know. A pause. Pack a bag, essentials only. You have 15 minutes. I'm not going anywhere with you. Then stay. His voice didn't change. And when they realize Min-jun isn't coming, they'll decide you're worth more as leverage than as a lead. Jaya's hands were shaking. The baby whimpered. She rocked her gently, mind racing. Why are you doing this? 15 minutes, Mrs. Kang. The line went dead. Jaya stood paralyzed for 5 seconds. Then training from years of living with an unpredictable husband kicked in. She moved. Diaper bag, formula, clothes, documents, cash. She shoved everything into a backpack with mechanical precision, her daughter strapped to her chest in a carrier. 12 minutes. She grabbed her coat and keys, slung the bag over her shoulder, and opened the door. A man stood in the hallway. Jaya's scream caught in her throat. He was tall, broad-shouldered. Tattoos crawled up his neck from beneath his collar. He didn't smile, didn't speak, just gestured toward the stairwell. Her legs wouldn't move. The man pulled back his jacket slightly. She saw the gun holstered at his side. Then he pointed down the hall, away from the elevator, toward the emergency exit. Jaya's brain screamed at her to run, to fight, to do anything except follow a stranger with a gun. But the baby was warm against her chest, helpless, trusting. She followed. They moved quickly, down 3 flights of stairs, through a service exit, into an underground parking garage she didn't even know her building had. A black sedan waited, engine running, tinted windows. The tattooed man opened the back door. Jaya hesitated. Then the door to the stairwell behind them slammed open. Voices, footsteps, angry, close. She got in the car. The man slid into the driver's seat. The door locked. The car pulled out smoothly, headlights off, disappearing into the pre-dawn streets. Jaya clutched her daughter and tried to breathe. In the rearview mirror, the driver's eyes met hers. He didn't speak, didn't explain. 10 minutes later, the car stopped in front of a building Jaya didn't recognize. Sleek glass, minimalist design, security cameras everywhere. The driver got out and opened her door. Jaya stepped onto the sidewalk, legs unsteady. The baby was still asleep somehow. The entrance doors opened. Mr. Yoon stood in the lobby. Same charcoal suit, same unreadable expression. He looked at her, then at the baby. "You're safe now," he said quietly. Jaya's voice came out hoarse. "For how long?" His eyes darkened. "As long as you need to be." He turned and walked toward the elevators. Jaya didn't move. Mr. Yoon glanced back. "You can leave if you want, but the men looking for you won't stop, and Min-jun won't protect you." "Why would you?" He didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was softer than she'd ever heard it. "Because no one protected my mother when she needed it." The elevator doors opened. Jaya looked down at her daughter, at the tiny face that trusted her to make the right choice. She stepped inside. The doors closed. And Jaya realized she'd just put her life in the hands of a man she didn't know. A man who moved like violence was a language he spoke fluently. A man who looked at her like she was something worth keeping safe. The penthouse was silent. Jaya stood in the center of a living room 3 times the size of her entire apartment, holding her daughter against her chest. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Han River. The furniture was elegant, expensive, cold. Mr. Yoon set her bag on the marble counter. The bedroom is through there. Bathroom, kitchen is stocked. You need anything else, call the number I gave you. Jaya turned to face him. I don't understand what's happening. You're staying here until the debt collectors lose interest in you. That's not what I mean. Her voice was steadier now. The shock was wearing off. You don't know me, you don't owe me anything, so why? Your husband made bad deals with dangerous people. Mr. Yoon's tone was flat, professional. Those people don't care about divorce settlements or custody agreements. They care about money, and right now, you're the easiest way to get to him. Then let them have him. Something flickered in Mr. Yoon's eyes. Not surprise, something else. You don't mean that, he said quietly. I do. Jaya's hands tightened around her daughter. He gave them my address. He threw me to them like bait, so yes, I mean it. Mr. Yoon studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded. Good. He moved toward the door. Wait, Jaya's voice stopped him. You said your mother, that no one protected her. His hand rested on the door handle. He didn't turn around. What happened to her? She trusted the wrong man. His voice was quiet, final, and she paid for it. The door closed behind him. Jaya stood alone in the pristine penthouse, her daughter's heartbeat the only sound in the vast silence. She didn't sleep, couldn't. Instead, she fed the baby, changed her, rocked her in the unfamiliar bedroom with its king-sized bed and blackout curtains. At some point near dawn, Jaya's phone buzzed, the new one. A text, no name. There's formula in the cabinet, diapers in the closet, anything else ask. Jaya stared at the message. He'd thought of everything, prepared for her before she'd even agreed to come. She typed back, who are you? The response came immediately. Someone who keeps his word. Jaya set the phone down. Her hands were still shaking, not from fear anymore. From the terrifying realization that she felt safer in a stranger's penthouse than she ever had in her own marriage. 2 days passed. Jaya barely saw Mr. Yoon. He came and went like a ghost. Sometimes she'd wake to find fresh groceries in the kitchen. Once, she found a bottle warmer she hadn't asked for, still in its box, sitting on the counter. The baby was thriving, sleeping better, eating well. Jaya was unraveling. She spent hours staring out the windows, watching the city below, wondering what Min-jun was doing, if he was looking for her, if he even cared. On the 3rd night, Mr. Yoon came home late. Jaya was awake. The baby slept in a bassinet he'd somehow acquired, positioned beside the couch where Jaya had been too anxious to move to the bedroom. She heard the door open, heard his footsteps, slow, deliberate. He appeared in the doorway. His suit jacket was gone. His shirt was unbuttoned at the collar. There was blood on his cuff. Jaya stood. Are you hurt? No. Then whose blood? Not yours to worry about. He moved to the sink, running water over his hands. The blood swirled down the drain, pink, then clear. Jaya watched him. Her heart pounded. She should be terrified, should be demanding answers. Instead, she asked, was it Min-jun? Mr. Yoon's hands stilled under the water. He looked at her, really looked at her. Do you want it to be? Jaya's breath caught. She didn't answer. Mr. Yoon dried his hands, rolled his sleeves down. Your husband met with his creditors tonight, tried to negotiate an extension. Did they give it to him? No, he crossed the room, stood close enough that she could smell cologne and something else. Gunpowder, maybe. They wanted collateral, he offered you. The air left Jaya's lungs. He told them where you were staying before, Mr. Yoon continued. His voice was calm, too calm. Tonight he tried to tell them where you are now. How, he doesn't know. He hired someone to follow you, a private investigator. Mr. Yoon tilted his head slightly. The investigator doesn't work for him anymore. Jaya's stomach turned. What did you do? I explained that you're under my protection, and what happens to people who threaten what's mine. I'm not yours. No, his eyes held hers, dark, unblinking, but they don't know that. Silence stretched between them. The baby stirred in her sleep. Jaya wanted to step back. To put distance between herself and this man who spoke about violence like it was a business transaction. But she didn't move. Min-jun will try again, she whispered. I know. So what happens now? Mr. Yoon's expression didn't change. Now I make sure he can't. You're going to kill him. No, he leaned in slightly, close enough that she could see the faint scar along his jaw. I'm going to destroy him. There's a difference. Jaya's pulse hammered. Why? Because killing him would be kind. Mr. Yoon's voice dropped. And he doesn't deserve kindness. He turned and walked toward his own bedroom, stopped at the threshold. Get some sleep, Mrs. Kang. Tomorrow I'm taking you somewhere safer. Safer than a penthouse with armed security. Yes. The door closed. Jaya stood in the dark, her daughter sleeping peacefully a few feet away, and realized she'd crossed a line she couldn't uncross. She'd trusted a man who spoke about destruction, the way other men spoke about dinner plans. And the worst part, she wasn't afraid of him. She was afraid of how much she wanted him to follow through. Morning came cold and gray. Jaya woke to find Mr. Yoon already dressed. Black suit, black tie. He looked like he was going to a funeral. Maybe he was. We're leaving in 20 minutes, he said. Pack light. Where are we going? Somewhere Min-jun's creditors can't reach. Somewhere his family can't pressure you. Somewhere you can decide what happens next without a gun to your head. Jaya fed the baby, packed the essentials. Her hands moved automatically, muscle memory from years of preparing for Min-jun's unpredictable moods. But this was different. She wasn't running from Mr. Yoon. She was running with him. The car was waiting downstairs. Same driver, same tattooed neck. He didn't speak, just opened the door. Jaya slid into the back seat. Mr. Yoon sat beside her, close, protective. The car pulled into traffic. How long will we be gone? Jaya asked. As long as it takes. For what? Mr. Yoon looked at her. His expression was unreadable, but his voice, when he spoke, was softer than she'd ever heard it. For you to stop looking over your shoulder. Jaya's throat tightened. The baby cooed softly. She stroked her daughter's cheek, blinking back tears she refused to let fall. They drove for 2 hours, out of Seoul, into the mountains. The roads grew narrow, the trees grew thick. Finally, the car stopped. Jaya looked out the window. A house, traditional Korean architecture, modern security, isolated, beautiful. This is yours, she asked. Now it's yours. Mr. Yoon got out, opened her door, offered his hand. Jaya hesitated, then took it. His grip was firm, steady, warm. He led her inside, showed her the nursery he'd prepared, the kitchen, the security system. You'll be safe here, he said. No one knows about this place except me. And your driver. He's dead before he talks. Not a threat, a fact. Jaya set the baby down in the crib, turned to face him. What do you want from me, Mr. Yoon? He didn't answer right away, just looked at her with those dark, unreadable eyes. I want you to trust me. I don't even know you. You know enough. He stepped closer, not threatening, just present. You know I keep my word, you know I don't lie, and you know that when I say you're safe, you are. Jaya's heart pounded. And when this is over, when Min-jun's creditors give up, what then? Mr. Yoon's jaw tightened. Then you decide if you want to disappear, or if you want justice. What kind of justice? His smile was cold, sharp, dangerous. The kind that makes him wish he'd treated you better. Jaya spent the first week learning the rhythms of the house. The baby thrived. Sunlight streamed through the windows. The air was clean. Quiet, no sirens, no traffic, no footsteps in the hallway that made her flinch. Mr. Yoon came and went. Sometimes he stayed for dinner. Sometimes she didn't see him for days. But she always knew he was watching. Security cameras hidden in the trees. Motion sensors along the perimeter. The driver who appeared every morning to walk the grounds, gun visible beneath his jacket. Jaya should have felt trapped. Instead, she felt free. On the 8th day, Mr. Yoon arrived with a folder. He set it on the kitchen table while Jaya finished feeding the baby. Didn't say anything, just poured himself coffee and waited. Jaya wiped her daughter's mouth, settled her in the bassinet, and sat down. What is this? Minjun's financials, updated. She opened the folder. Her stomach dropped. Bank statements, property records, loan documents, all stamped with red warnings, overdue, default, foreclosure pending. He's broke, Mr. Yoon said quietly. Completely. The company's filing for bankruptcy next week. His creditors have seized his accounts. The penthouse in Gangnam is gone. The second family is gone. He's living in a motel in Incheon. Jaya stared at the numbers. 3 months ago, Minjun had millions. Now he had nothing. You did this, she whispered. I accelerated it. Mr. Yoon's tone was neutral. He did this to himself. What about the people he owes? They'll come after him harder now. He has no leverage, no protection, no value. Jaya's hands trembled. She closed the folder. He'll run. He tried. I made sure he couldn't. She looked up sharply. What does that mean? Mr. Yoon leaned back in his chair. His expression was calm, detached. His passport is flagged. His credit cards are frozen. Every contact he has in business has been warned that associating with him is a liability. You're destroying him. Yes. Why? Jaya's voice cracked. You barely know me. This is excessive. Is it? Mr. Yoon's eyes locked on hers. He tried to sell you to violent men to cover his debts. He abandoned his newborn daughter. He lied under oath. He stole from you, from his company, from everyone who trusted him. That doesn't mean. He deserves worse. Mr. Yoon's voice didn't rise, didn't need to. But I'm giving you a choice. Jaya's breath caught. What choice? I can finish this, completely. Make sure he never has the means or the connections to threaten you again. He paused. Or I can stop. Let him crawl back to whatever life he can scrape together, and you walk away clean. That's not a choice. It's exactly a choice. Mr. Yoon leaned forward. Because if I finish this, you're complicit. You know what I'm doing, and you're letting me do it. Silence filled the kitchen. The baby cooed softly, innocent, unaware. Jaya thought about the mediation, the way Minjun had looked at her, not with regret, not with guilt, with annoyance, like she was an obstacle, a problem to solve. She thought about the 3 weeks she'd spent alone in the hospital after the C-section, the infected incision, the fever, the nurses who'd had to help her shower because she couldn't stand. Minjun had been in Gangnam with his son, his other family, while she'd nearly died, giving birth to his daughter. Jaya looked at Mr. Yoon. What happens if I say yes? Minjun loses everything, his reputation, his freedom, possibly his life depending on how his creditors decide to collect. And if I say no? You disappear, new identity, new city. I make sure you and your daughter are protected, and Minjun becomes someone else's problem. Jaya's throat tightened. You do that, let him go. If that's what you want. Why? Mr. Yoon's expression softened. Barely. Because this isn't about what I want, it's about what you can live with. Jaya closed her eyes. Her hands rested on the folder, on the evidence of her husband's betrayal, his cowardice, his cruelty. She thought about her daughter, about the life she wanted to give her, about the kind of mother she wanted to be. She opened her eyes. Finish it. Mr. Yoon didn't react, didn't smile, didn't nod. He just stood, picked up the folder, and walked to the door. He stopped, looked back. You're sure? Jaya's voice was steady. I'm sure. He left. And Jaya sat alone in the kitchen, holding her sleeping daughter, and wondered if she'd just made a deal with the devil. Or if she'd finally found someone who understood that mercy wasn't always kindness. 3 days later, Minjun was arrested. Jaya watched the news on the tablet Mr. Yoon had left for her. Embezzlement, fraud, tax evasion. The charges scrolled across the screen like a list of sins. His face was everywhere, pale, terrified, handcuffed. The reporters asked questions he couldn't answer. His attorneys were gone. No one would represent him. Jaya felt nothing. No satisfaction, no regret, just emptiness. The baby cried. Jaya picked her up, cradled her, walked to the window. The mountains stretched endlessly, silent, indifferent. Her phone buzzed. A text from Mr. Yoon. It's done. He'll be sentenced within 6 months. You're free. Jaya stared at the message. Free. The word felt strange, foreign. She typed back, thank you. 3 dots appeared, disappeared. Appeared again. Don't thank me yet. Her pulse quickened. What does that mean? It means the people Minjun owed don't care that he's in jail. They still want their money, and they still think you have it. Jaya's blood ran cold, but I don't. I know, but they don't believe that. So what now? The response took longer this time. Now I deal with them, personally. Jaya's hands shook. She looked at her daughter, at the tiny face that trusted her to keep her safe. She typed, be careful. A long pause, then. I'm always careful. The conversation ended. Jaya spent the next 2 days in a haze of anxiety. Every sound made her jump. Every shadow felt like a threat. On the 3rd night, Mr. Yoon came back. He looked different, tired. There was a bruise along his jaw. His knuckles were wrapped in gauze. Jaya met him at the door. What happened? It's handled. That's not an answer. It's the only one you need. He moved past her into the kitchen, poured himself whiskey, drank it in one swallow. Jaya followed. Did you kill them? Mr. Yoon set the glass down, looked at her. His eyes were darker than she'd ever seen them. Do you want the truth? Yes. I made them understand that coming after you would cost more than Minjun's debt was worth. He poured another drink. How I made them understand is something you don't need to carry. Jaya's breath shook. You're protecting me from yourself. I'm protecting you from what I'm capable of. Mr. Yoon's voice was quiet, dangerous. There's a difference. She stepped closer. I'm not afraid of you. You should be. Why? Jaya's voice steadied. Because you're violent. Because you hurt people. I was married to a man who hurt me every day without ever raising his hand. You've done more to protect me in 2 weeks than he did in 5 years. Mr. Yoon's jaw tightened. That doesn't make me good. I don't need you to be good. Jaya held his gaze. I need you to be honest. Silence stretched between them, heavy, charged. Then Mr. Yoon moved. Not toward her, toward the door. I'm going back to Seoul tomorrow, he said quietly. You'll stay here. The house is yours. Everything you need is provided. When it's safe, I'll tell you. And if it's never safe? He stopped, didn't turn around. Then you stay here, and I make sure no one ever finds you. What about you? What about me? Jaya's heart pounded. Will you come back? Mr. Yoon's shoulders tensed. For a long moment, he didn't move. Then he looked back. His expression was unreadable, but his voice, when he spoke, was softer than she'd ever heard it. Do you want me to? Jaya's answer came without hesitation. Yes. Mr. Yoon didn't leave the next morning. He stayed. Jaya woke to find him in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up making coffee. The bruise on his jaw had darkened overnight, purple, angry. He didn't acknowledge her, just poured 2 cups, slid one across the counter. You're still here, Jaya said quietly. I'm still here. Why? He didn't answer, just looked at her with those dark, unreadable eyes. The baby cried from the nursery. Jaya turned to go, but Mr. Yoon's voice stopped her. Let me. She froze. What? Let me get her. Jaya's heart stuttered. She watched as he set down his cup and walked toward the nursery. His movements were careful, deliberate, like he was approaching something fragile. She followed. Mr. Yoon stood over the crib, looking down at the baby. His expression was impossible to read. Not soft, not hard, just focused. He reached down, lifted her carefully, one hand supporting her head, the other cradling her back. The baby stopped crying immediately. Jaya's breath caught. Mr. Yoon held her daughter like she was made of glass, like one wrong move would shatter everything. He didn't speak, didn't coo, just stood there holding her, his jaw tight. You've done this before, Jaya whispered. No. Then how? I watched. His voice was quiet. My mother had a baby, after me, a daughter. Jaya's chest tightened. Where is she now? Dead. Mr. Yoon's eyes stayed on the baby. She was 6 months old when the men came. My mother tried to protect her, tried to run. The air left the room. They killed them both, Mr. Yoon continued. His tone was flat, empty. Because my father owed money he couldn't pay, because my mother trusted the wrong man, because no one stopped it. Jaya's eyes burned. How old were you? 12. She couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. Mr. Yoon finally looked at her. That's why I don't let debts go unpaid. That's why I don't let threats go unanswered. And that's why I will burn down anyone who tries to hurt you or your daughter. Jaya's voice cracked. You can't save them by saving me. I know, he looked back down at the baby, but I can make sure it doesn't happen again. He handed the baby to Jaya carefully. Their hands brushed, his fingers were warm, steady. I'm staying, he said quietly, until I know you're safe, really safe. That could be a long time. I have time. Jaya held her daughter close, studied the man in front of her, the one who spoke about violence like it was inevitable, who moved through the world like danger was a language he'd learned as a child. The one who held a newborn like she was the most important thing in the world. What's your first name? Jaya asked. Mr. Yoon's expression shifted, barely. Why? Because if you're staying, I should know what to call you. A pause, then, Jihoon. Jihoon, Jaya repeated. The name felt strange on her tongue, intimate. He nodded once, then turned and walked out of the nursery. But he didn't leave the house. Days blurred into weeks. Jihoon stayed. He worked from the house, laptop open at the kitchen table, phone pressed to his ear. Jaya heard fragments of conversations, numbers, names, threats delivered in that same calm, lethal tone. He never raised his voice, never had to. At night, he disappeared into his room. Mornings, he was already awake, always watching, always prepared. Jaya found herself watching him too. The way he moved, efficient, controlled. The way he listened when she spoke, really listened, not waiting for his turn to talk, just absorbing. He didn't ask about Minjun, didn't ask what she planned to do next. He just existed, present, steady. One evening, Jaya fed the baby while Jihoon cooked. Actual food, not takeout. He moved through the kitchen like he'd done this 1,000 times. Where did you learn to cook? She asked. Necessity. He didn't look up from the cutting board. When you grow up alone, you learn. You were alone, after your mother. Foster homes, group facilities, the street. His knife moved precisely. I learned what I needed to survive. And the rest. I took it. Jaya's pulse quickened. You mean you stole? I mean I made sure I never needed anyone's permission to live. He looked at her then. Does that bother you? No, Jaya surprised herself with the honesty. It makes sense. Jihoon's expression flickered, something like approval. They ate in silence. The baby slept. Outside, the mountains turned gold in the setting sun. Minjun's trial is next week, Jihoon said quietly. Jaya's fork stilled. I know. They'll ask you to testify. I won't. You should, Jihoon's eyes met hers. You have the power to end him completely. I thought you already did that. I destroyed his money, his connections, his freedom. He leaned back. But you can destroy his legacy. Make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of man he is. Jaya's hands tightened around her fork. And then what? I become the bitter ex-wife who ruined him. You become the woman who refused to be silent. Jihoon's voice was quiet, certain. There's a difference. Jaya looked down at her plate. Her daughter slept peacefully in the bassinet, unaware, innocent. What if I don't want revenge? She whispered. What if I just want to move on? Then move on. Jihoon's tone didn't change. But make sure it's because you chose peace, not because you're afraid of what people will think. The words hit like a punch. Jaya stood, cleared her plate, walked to the window. Jihoon followed, stood beside her, not touching, just close. I testified once, he said quietly. Against the men who killed my mother, I was 14. They threatened me, told me I'd disappear if I spoke. What did you do? I spoke anyway. His reflection was dark in the glass. And then I made sure they disappeared instead. Jaya's breath caught. How? That's not important. Jihoon turned to face her. What's important is that I didn't let fear make my choices, and neither should you. Jaya met his eyes, saw the truth there, the violence, the certainty. The protection. If I testify, she said slowly, Minjun's family will come after me, his creditors. Everyone who has something to lose. Let them try. You can't fight everyone, Jihoon. His smile was cold, sharp. Watch me. The night before the trial, Jaya couldn't sleep. She sat in the living room, holding the baby, staring at the darkness outside. Jihoon appeared in the doorway, silent, watchful. You should rest, he said. I can't. He crossed the room, sat beside her on the couch, not too close, but close enough. What are you afraid of? He asked. Everything, Jaya's voice broke. That I'll say the wrong thing, that I'll make it worse. That testifying won't change anything. That Minjun will find a way to hurt me anyway. He won't. You can't promise that. Yes, Jihoon's eyes locked on hers. I can. Jaya's chest tightened. Why do you care so much? Jihoon didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was softer than she'd ever heard it. Because when I look at you, I see my mother. Smart, strong, trying to protect her child from a man who didn't deserve either of them. He paused. And I see the chance to do what no one did for her. Tears burned Jaya's eyes. I'm not your mother. I know. Jihoon's hand moved. Slowly, carefully. He brushed a tear from her cheek. His touch was gentle, devastating. But maybe that means I can save you both. Jaya's breath shattered. Jihoon pulled his hand back, stood. Get some sleep. Tomorrow you tell the truth, and I'll make sure you're safe while you do it. He walked away. Jaya sat in the dark, her daughter warm against her chest, and realized something terrifying. She wasn't falling for Jihoon because he was dangerous. She was falling for him because he made her feel safe enough to be dangerous herself. The courtroom was cold. Jaya sat in the witness box, hands folded in her lap, eyes forward. Minjun sat across the room, thinner, paler, broken. He wouldn't look at her. The prosecutor stood. Mrs. Kang, can you tell the court about your marriage to the defendant? Jaya's voice was steady, clear. She told them everything. The lies, the second family, the debts, the moment he'd given her address to violent men to save himself. Minjun's attorney tried to object. The judge overruled. Jaya kept talking. And in the back of the courtroom, Jihoon sat perfectly still. Watching. Waiting. Protecting. When Jaya finished, the room was silent. The prosecutor nodded. No further questions. Jaya stood, walked out of the courtroom, didn't look back. Jihoon was waiting in the hallway. He didn't ask how it went, didn't say anything. Just offered his hand. Jaya took it. And together, they walked out into the sunlight. Minjun was sentenced to 12 years. Embezzlement, fraud, conspiracy. The charges stacked like stones on a grave. Jaya watched the verdict on the tablet from the mountain house. The baby slept against her chest. Jihoon stood at the window, silent. When the judge's gavel fell, Jaya felt nothing. No triumph, no relief. Just the quiet certainty that one chapter had ended. "It's over," she whispered. Jihoon turned. "Not yet." Her stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" Minjun's creditors. They're still out there. And now that he's locked up, they have no one else to target. "But you said—" "I said I'd handle them. I did." Jihoon crossed the room, sat beside her. "But handling them doesn't mean they've forgotten. It means they're waiting." Jaya's hands tightened around the baby. "For what?" "For me to make a mistake, for you to leave protection, for an opening." His eyes met hers. "They're patient, dangerous, and they don't forgive debts. So I'm trapped here forever." "No," Jihoon's voice was quiet, certain. "You're protected here until I finish what I started." "What does that mean?" He didn't answer, just stood and walked to the door. "Jihoon, stay inside tonight. Keep the doors locked. Don't answer for anyone except me." Terror spiked through her. "Where are you going?" "To end this." He was gone before she could argue. Jaya didn't sleep. She paced the house, the baby in her arms, every sound making her flinch. The security system was armed, the windows locked, but fear still crawled under her skin. Hours passed, midnight came and went. At 3 a.m, her phone buzzed. A text from Jihoon, one word. "Done." Jaya's hands shook. She typed back immediately. "Are you okay?" No response. She waited, 5 minutes, 10, 20. Then headlights cut through the darkness outside. Jaya moved to the window, a black car, Jihoon's car. He got out slowly, too slowly. She saw the blood on his shirt. Jaya's heart stopped. She ran to the door, wrenched it open. Jihoon stood on the threshold. His face was pale, his left hand pressed against his side. Blood seeped between his fingers. "You're hurt." "It's nothing." "That's not nothing." Jaya grabbed his arm, pulled him inside. The baby started crying. Jaya's world splintered into chaos. Jihoon steadied himself against the wall. "The baby." "Sit down," Jaya's voice cracked. She laid the baby in the bassinet, then turned back to him. "Sit, now." He obeyed, slowly lowered himself onto the couch. Jaya pulled his hand away from the wound. A knife cut, deep, bleeding heavily. "Hospital." "No hospitals." Jihoon's voice was strained. "First aid kit, bathroom cabinet." Jaya ran, found the kit, ran back. Her hands shook as she cleaned the wound, applied pressure. Jihoon didn't flinch, didn't make a sound. "What happened?" she whispered. "I met with the last of them, the ones who wouldn't let it go." His breathing was shallow. "Made them an offer." "What kind of offer?" "The kind they couldn't refuse." Jihoon's eyes met hers. "Minjun's debt is paid, in full. They won't come after you, ever." Jaya's hands stilled. "How did you pay it?" "That's not your concern." "Jihoon." "I made a deal." His jaw tightened. "My services for a year, in exchange for clearing the debt and guaranteeing your safety." The room tilted. "Your services, what does that mean?" "It means I work for them now, doing what I do best." He looked away. "It means you're free." Jaya's chest shattered. "You sold yourself." "I protected you." "By enslaving yourself to criminals." "By making sure you and your daughter never have to look over your shoulders again." Jihoon's voice was quiet, final. "It was the only way." Tears burned Jaya's eyes. "I didn't ask you to do this." "You didn't have to." She finished bandaging the wound. Her hands were covered in his blood, shaking. "When do you leave?" she whispered. "Tomorrow." "For how long?" "A year, maybe more, depending on what they need." "And after that?" Jihoon's expression was unreadable. "After that, I'm free, and so are you." Jaya stood, walked to the window. The mountains were dark, silent, indifferent. "What if you don't come back?" I'll come back. You can't promise that. Yes, Jihoon stood slowly, one hand pressed to his bandaged side. I can. Jaya turned, looked at him, this man who'd destroyed her ex-husband, who'd protected her child, who'd sacrificed his freedom for hers. Why, her voice broke, why would you do this for me? Jihoon crossed the room, stood in front of her, close enough that she could see the pain in his eyes, the exhaustion, the certainty. Because no one did it for my mother. His hand rose, cupped her face, gentle, devastating. And because when I look at you, I see something worth protecting. Jaya's breath shattered. Jihoon. He kissed her. Soft, careful, like she was something precious. When he pulled back, his eyes were dark, honest. Wait for me, he whispered. That's not fair. I know, his thumb brushed her cheek, but I'm asking anyway. Jaya's tears fell freely now. What if I can't? Then I'll understand. Jihoon stepped back, his hand dropped. But I'll still come back, even if it's just to make sure you're safe. Jihoon left at dawn. Jaya stood in the doorway, holding the baby, watching him walk to the car. He stopped, looked back. The house is yours, everything in it. The accounts I set up, you'll never need anything. I don't want your money. It's not mine anymore, it's yours. His expression softened, barely. Take care of her. I will. And take care of yourself. Jaya's throat closed. Come back. Jihoon's smile was small, sad. I will. He got in the car. The engine started. The headlights cut through the morning mist. And then he was gone. Jaya stood in the doorway until the sound of the engine faded completely. Then she went inside, fed the baby, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and realized she was alone. But not afraid. 6 months later, Jaya had built a life. The mountain house was home now. She'd enrolled in online courses, started freelance work. Her daughter was thriving, healthy, happy. Jaya hadn't heard from Jihoon since the day he left. No calls, no texts, nothing. Some nights she wondered if he was still alive, if he'd forgotten her, if the year would stretch into forever. Other nights she looked at the security system he'd installed, the accounts he'd set up, the future he'd made possible. And she knew he hadn't forgotten. One evening in late autumn, Jaya put the baby to bed and poured herself tea. The doorbell rang. Her heart stopped. No one came to the mountain house, ever. Jaya checked the security camera. Her breath caught. Jihoon. Thinner, scarred, tired. But alive. She opened the door. He stood on the threshold, hands in his pockets, eyes dark and uncertain. I'm early, he said quietly. The year isn't up yet, but I finished. Jaya couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Jihoon's expression flickered. If you want me to leave. She grabbed his jacket, pulled him inside, wrapped her arms around him. He went still, then his arms came around her, tight, desperate. I didn't think you'd wait, he whispered against her hair. I didn't think you'd come back. I told you I would. Jaya pulled back, looked at him, really looked at him. The new scars, the exhaustion, the weight he carried. Are you free? I'm free. Completely. Completely. Jihoon's hand rose, cupped her face. The debt is paid. The threats are gone. You're safe. She's safe. And you. His smile was small, real. I'm exactly where I want to be. Jaya's tears fell. Stay. For how long? As long as you want. Jihoon's eyes darkened. That might be forever. Good. He kissed her, slower this time, deeper, like he was memorizing the moment. When they broke apart, Jaya took his hand, led him to the nursery. The baby was awake, looking up at the mobile above her crib. Jihoon stood at the threshold, watching. She's grown, he whispered. She has, Jaya smiled. Do you want to hold her? He hesitated, then nodded. Jaya lifted the baby carefully, placed her in Jihoon's arms. He held her like he had that first time, like she was the most important thing in the world. The baby looked up at him, smiled. Jihoon's expression shattered, reformed, something soft, something new. "She's perfect," he whispered. "She is," Jaya stepped closer, "and she's safe because of you." Jihoon looked at her, and for the first time since she'd met him, she saw something other than control in his eyes. She saw hope. "I don't know how to do this," he admitted quietly. "The normal life, the safe life." "Neither do I," Jaya took his free hand. "But we can learn together." Jihoon's fingers tightened around hers. Together. Outside, the mountains stood silent, protective. Inside, a broken man, a scarred woman, and a baby who knew nothing but love built something new. Not perfect, but safe. And for the first time in their lives, that was enough.